Hi, I'm Justin Rigby and today I'm here representing the Australian Corrosion Association. We've been delivering some new learning pathways for students or learning methods through this COVID-19 isolation period. So we have online courses, blended learning, as well as the traditional format of learning. So we just wanted to get out in front of you and help describe the differences and also answer some of the questions we've been receiving. So traditional learning you're all familiar with. That's where you attend a course, you complete quizzes and exercises, you sit in an exam, usually at the end of the session, and then you kind of either pass or you fail. However, with COVID-19, it's sort of pushed us to be more innovative in the way we deliver learning, where we found quite a few different features in the way we can deliver. So we have, like an online course is pretty much purely online, no instructor, an e-course you might call it. So typical PowerPoint presentation or slides with some audio and maybe some animation, but you don't have an instructor. Webinars, where you have a live instructor teaching the course just like this, and this is why I wanted to present to you in this format so you could see what a live online course is like. And then we also have virtual conferences where we can have all the students in the screen at the same time and we can collaborate. So immediately the Australian Corrosion Association and NACE have moved to modernise the delivery method for learning, essentially pulling apart what can be delivered, what must be delivered in the classroom versus what could be done at home really, or what could be done online. We find the best delivery method for specialist courses like corrosion and coating inspection really always will be a combination of learning methods. So that will be where you have an instructor available and they'll share real life experiences with you. That's where lots of people like to learn. In the classroom, having practical exercises where you're using equipment and understanding how things work. Then reading the course manual and reviewing presentation slides, as well as having time to discuss and have question time. So if we have a look at these, the first one can be delivered by a webinar. So you have an instructor like myself that can be going through the course manual with you and sharing how it relates to real life experiences. The practical exercises need to be done in the classroom. Reading through the course manual and reviewing, well, that's kind of your homework. You'd do that in a classroom situation anyway. And then question and answer time, back to the webinar, the live instruction. So the change has occurred where we're able to separate what an instructor needs to do, and that can be online, where the classroom learning cannot be replaced, and also the things that a student can do in their own time. And that's blended learning. So it's not what you'd think is an online course, it's not an e-course, it's just simply we're delivering the instruction remotely or online and following up with classroom instruction later. So the ACA currently has a range of options available. They have a basic corrosion course, and that's in its final stages prior to being launched as an e-course. The Corrosion Technology Certificate is available in home study format, and the ACA will be introducing a range of short courses for online learning before the end of the year. The ACA is also a licensee for the NACE courses within Australia, New Zealand and some South Asian countries as well. So that's the association there. So with the NACE courses, we currently have availability for blended learning in the coating inspection program, where there's level 1 and level 2, and also the cathodic protection program, where level 1 and level 2 are available now, and there's work on 3 and 4, so they can get that up and running as well. So they're all being delivered in blended learning now. we describe blended learning. Just to recap, it's essentially the same course. All we've done is just been able to pull it apart and say what can be delivered live online, what needs to be delivered in the classroom, and what can the student do at home. And that's how we've done it. So looking at that, if I use the coding inspection stream at level 1, that's where a level 1 inspector has an entry level of knowledge. They can perform non-destructive testing, but they need to work under a level 2 or a level 3 inspector. So the traditional method is working through day 1 through to 5, and one of those days is where we call it a lab day. That's where you're doing some blasting and some painting. And day 6 is the exam. So that's a real pressure cooker. You've got 5 days of work and then bam, straight into a practical exam. Now it does work. It's worked for decades. People get through and enjoy it and have great learning. And then they go off and do their computer-based test, and they don't need to do that straight away. They can do that anytime within 18 months. So they have time to review, or if you're the kind of person that wants to get that exam done straight away, you can book it the very next day. That's the traditional method. The blended learning format is where we have a webinar for day 1 and day 2, that live instruction, just like we're doing here in this video. It won't be recorded, it will be live. Then later, when we open up after isolation, we'll be running a range of classroom sessions. So you'll be completing day 3, 4 and 5 and doing that lab day, followed by the practical exam. And then the theory exam, same situation. Anytime within 18 months, you can book that theory exam. So the benefit here is now, straight away, you can do the day 1, day 2. Later, within a year, you get to the classroom and finish that off. So in between, you've got time to review. You get all that information in day 1 and 2. Before you get to the classroom, you've got plenty of time to review and research. After the classroom, you've still got time before the computer-based test to get your theory exam done. The coding inspection program level 2, that's where a level 2 inspector is expected to have a working knowledge of inspection, and they can now do destructive testing where the level 1 couldn't, but they're still expected to be working under a level 3 inspector. And that's delivered in the same format. Day 1 and day 2, the live online instruction. The rest of the session is delivered in the classroom with a practical exam, and then you do the theory test any time you like at an authorised test centre within 18 months. So let's now let me give you an option here. If you want to mash this together, and in fact, let me stand up and show you what the classroom session would look like. Okay, so to be able to mash up these courses, NACE have worked it out so that you can put together all the pieces of the puzzle now, and then as you get experience and you get through you collect the different pieces of the puzzle, you'll become level 1 and level 2 certified. So let's take a look at that. You can get on and do your blended learning for level 1 and level 2 now. We're running level 1 classes each month at the moment, so there's one next week and in May, and there's one in June. The level 2 class, there's one scheduled for June. Then when we open up after isolation, you have a year to get on to one of the scheduled classroom sessions, and you do that. On the back of each classroom session, you'll complete your practical exam. So you'll need to do a classroom session for level 1 and another one for level 2. So between the live online session and the classroom, you've got all that time to review, with up to 1 year. Then between the classroom session and the theory exam, you have time to review again. And in fact, you've got up to 18 months to be able to schedule that theory exam and pass it. So they're all different pieces of the puzzle. You don't need to pass level 1 to start level 2. You just start collecting all those pieces of the puzzle. Then within 3 weeks of your practical exams, you'll get your results showing that you've passed. And then straight away, you'll earn your level 1 certification because there's no work experience required there. You just complete the 3 pieces of the puzzle and you get level 1 certified. Your level 2 staff will be sitting there with NACE until you can submit your work experience. You need at least 2 years work experience, but you have 3 years to collect it. As soon as you submit your work experience, you'll be level 2 certified because you've already completed the classroom and the live online session, and you've already done the practical exam, you've already passed the theory exam, and you'll be level 2 certified. So you're able to get that upskill during this period while it's nice and quiet. So the key benefit, both methods of learning have their benefits, and the traditional method, I find that it's a long session. It's 5 days plus a practical exam on day 6. They're long days. There's lots of information. So when you've sat courses before and you're getting new information that you feel like you're being challenged because you've got to try and understand new concepts. And in doing that, you've got to create some pathways in your mind. And so you create a bit of confusion, and eventually you start to get some understanding, and that's when you get true learning. So it's a process. And whereas the blended learning, I find that having that gap between the online session, the live online, where you get being given all the information, and the gap between coming to the classroom, gives you the ability to forget about the pathway for learning and just remember the lesson. So if you've ever sat a course and you felt a little confused at the end, and then a week later you thought about it again, or you reviewed your manual and it kind of just made sense, it's because you forgot that moment where you felt challenged, and you forgot that moment where you had that sense of confusion, and what stays with you is the learning. So having that gap between the online and the classroom really helps, and essentially it just gives you more time. But both methods work really well, and they'll continue to be available during the isolation period, but also moving forward in the future. How do you join the webinars? Well, all you need is you'll be presented through a video platform such as Zoom or something similar. You'll just need an internet connection, you'll need speakers and a microphone, which most modern computers all have, as well as a webcam. And so then if you want to check that your system's compatible, you can jump on the ACA website and look at that link there for the virtual classrooms, but it shouldn't be too difficult. How do you get started? Well, get online, book your preferred course, or you can call the ACA and or email training@corrosion.com.au. So you need to get enrolled, you need to pay, but thankfully the ACA are offering a reduced cost for blended learning versus the traditional cost, and as well as split payments. So you can pay for the theory session now and then pay for the practical session later. And at the moment, the CIP1 registration includes additional resources worth up to $800 to help you with your learning. Now, these offers are subject to change, so act fast. And that's it from me.